I'm Charli Grimes. I'm an animal behaviour scientist at the University of Exeter, where I study killer whales, specifically the endangered population of southern resident killer whales that inhabit the waters of Washington State and BC. Yeah, so killer whales are found in all kind of oceans around the world, and each population, or what we call ecotype, is different. And the southern resident killer whales, yeah, they exist in these pods. And within these pods, they're made up of matrilines. And what that means is basically it's kind of a son and a daughter, and they live in a pod with their mum and then their mum's mums. So it's kind of their family unit is kind of like grandmother and then her offspring and then her daughter's offspring. And so the residents are really unique in that they will stay, both males and females will stay with their mums for their whole lives, which is really rare for social mammals. And then these matrilineal structures make up the pods. So these are pods are groups of closely related matrilines. And in the southern residents, we have J, K, and L pod, and they form the whole population. So yeah, females can live up to 90 years old in the wild, and they cease reproduction or they stop reproducing around the age of 40. So they're living for this extremely long lifespan after which they're reproductive. We were looking at socially inflicted injuries on the skin of killer whales. So these present as tooth rake marks, and these are these thin white parallel lines found on the skin surface, and they're a result of another whale running its teeth along it, often in an aggressive interaction. And our study found that when a male had its postmenopause mother in the group, so a mother that was no longer reproducing herself, they had fewer socially inflicted injuries than a male whose mother was still reproducing, or a male that had no mother at all. And we didn't find this in females. And what this shows us is that these females, when they're no longer reproducing, they are supporting their sons socially by directing protective behavior towards them. So we think it all really comes on to how an older female can pass on her genes. In the natural world, animals keep reproducing until they die, basically, just so they can pass on as many genes to the future generations as possible. But within killer whales, it looks as though the females are directing support towards their sons to help them survive and reproduce. And we think this is because males have greater reproductive potential. So they mate with multiple females at one time, and they don't carry the costs of bearing a calf themselves. So an older female or a mum can pass on more of her genes through her male offspring than her female offspring. So we are using photographs of the whales to conduct this research. We use data collected by the Centre for Whale Research, which is based on San Juan Island in Washington State. They've been carrying out a census of the population since the early 70s. And the southern residents are great. All killer whales are great in that you can ID them or identify them based on their individual markings. So they've got these different shaped dorsal fins, and they've got different scratches and nicks and notches. And they've also got a saddle patch on their back. That's that white patch on their back, which we use to identify the whales. So we've used photographs taken of the whales from this 50-year period to identify the whales, and then we can see kind of track births and deaths in the population. And from this data, we use this to ask all kinds of important questions. I've always had a passion for the ocean, or it's really intrigued me. And I remember I was working on a research project in New Zealand in 2014, and I saw my first killer whale, and I was just mesmerized by them, just the way they move in the water. And I wanted to learn everything I could about them. And then finding out just how interesting they are, how social they are, intelligent. Yeah, it's just really driven that passion to pursue this career.